Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I am so excited to do. I'm going to be ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have tried so far in the year 2021. So back in, well, I guess it was early 2020, but I posted a video ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes I had tried throughout the entire year of 2019. It continues to be the top viewed video on my channel. So when we got halfway through 2020, I thought, why not do that video again? I'll just rank everything that I've tried as we hit the halfway point throughout the year, then did my video at the end of the year, and now here we are. I'm gonna be doing all the palettes that I've tried throughout half of the year of 2021. So what is kind of crazy about this video is I only have 15 palettes to be talking about. I have 15 spots. You know me, there's technically more than 15 palettes, but some of them I did group together in like collections and such. But yeah, only 15 spots to get through. This really shows you how much my makeup preferences changed. I did also have a move in there too, a pretty significant move from Iowa to Vegas. So there was quite a period of time where I really wasn't trying a lot of makeup or even wearing a lot of makeup. But yeah, I think it's still gonna be a fun one. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so like I mentioned in the intro, I did have a move and I still have not been able to find all of my makeup from the move. I don't have all of my makeup unpacked, but I have it pretty much, like I know which boxes hold palettes and I know which boxes hold like these brands. And there are some palettes that I just can't find. I feel like I'm maybe either missing a box or a box didn't make it with me, because there's some specific products that I remember packing that I just can't find that box. So I don't have every single palette to physically show you. Some of them I will have to put on the screen, so my apologies for that. But I've kept pushing off this video because I've been trying to find everything, and finally I'm like, you're either not doing this video or you just have to put in a few photos for some of the palettes. So my apologies there, but it is also 117 degrees in Vegas today. It is very warm. But let me show you my Vegas OOTD. So today I have on this romper, just a little romper here from Express. I actually just finished filming a video on this makeup look here. So if the video is live, which I'm not sure if it is or not, I'm not sure the order of my videos. If it is live, I will link it in the cards. If not, it will be coming. And I actually did a poll while I was filming that video on my Instagram stories, asking you to pick my Vegas OOTD, and you all picked this romper, so that is what we are wearing. So yeah, I always list all of my makeup down below, but let's jump into the palettes. All right, so first up is a palette that I do not have, and as I was going through the list and marking everything down and putting the palettes into, you know, ones that I don't love so much, ones that I think are okay, ones that I know would be in the top, I have quite a few Colourpop towards the bottom of the list here. I've been saying recently, especially in my Will I Buy It videos that I post every Wednesday where I talk about the new makeup releases, that Colourpop is just not catching my eye the way that they once were. And another thing that I want to say is, for the most part, the majority of this list are palettes that I really do like. So I ended up kind of ranking them in how much I use them, how much I grab towards them, kind of thing. Because again, majority of the palettes I think are good. There's really not a palette in this video that I'm flat out like, I did not like that one. But wanted to mention that again, I think when I did this video through the halfway point in 2020, I think I had over 30 palettes that I was ranking. So this is definitely much smaller. I've been reaching for my singles a lot more, a lot of cream products, cream shadows. If you would want to see a video ranking those, please do let me know. But it just was interesting when I sat down to do this that I said, wow, this really shows you how much my preferences have changed. But I also think because with the move in there and not trying makeup for so long, I really was gravitating towards makeup that I thought that I would like or that I really wanted to try out. So yeah, that kind of plays into it too. But at the bottom, coming in at number 15 from Colourpop, is their collaboration with Lizzie McGuire. And I feel really bad because I liked the Lizzie McGuire show. Heck yeah, I watched that show. I thought it was great. But the palette, for the most part, the colors just really didn't do anything for me. And once again, if I'm ranking them on like what I'm reaching for, I really wasn't reaching for that palette. I used it for like the nostalgia factor and like, oh, this is so much fun. And you know, there was like a fun yellow in there and I was like, okay, this is cool. But really I was like, I'm just not gonna reach for this one very often. I thought the quality was fine. It wasn't Colourpop's like best palette, but again, for how much I'm gonna reach for it, it's not gonna be that often, and I can't even find it. So there's that. At number 14, another one from Colourpop. This was in their Valentine's Day collection for 2020. This is the Melt For You Pressed Powder Palette. So, oh, I have a broken shadow. So, oh boy, I'm gonna try to be very careful with that. So it's just this all pink palette. Pink isn't my most worn eyeshadow color. I do have some pink on today. It's not that I don't wear it. It's just, it's not my most reach for. Same with like lips. I don't go for like baby pink or hot pink lips all that much. I'm much more of a nude kind of gal. But I wanted to give this one a shot. These 5-pan palettes from Colourpop, I was curious about them. And you know, like I think it's fine. Some of the shades are those mattes with the really fine glitter in here, the micro glitters and whatnot. It's okay. Again, it's nothing in here that I'm reviewing is like a terrible product, but personal preference, I'm just not really gonna be reaching for this one very often. So at number 13 is another one from Colourpop. This was in their Bambi collection, and the palette that I tried out was the Thumper palette, which I do not have once again. This one, it was fine. It was one of those where I really wanted to like it. I was excited for it. It was this even like smaller palette. Like Colourpop has come out with so many different variations of eyeshadow palettes recently. It's kind of hard to keep up. You never really know what they're going to be coming out with. And I really wanted to like it. I liked the colors in there. Some of those like dusty mauves I thought were really pretty. Again, it just, with Colourpop as a whole, I just kind of feel so meh about them these days. At number 12, I moved my camera up. Hopefully I wasn't super cut off that whole time, but when I was filming really close up earlier. So anyways, at number 12, we have from e.l.f. and this is their Chipotle palette. Now, this one, I really like the quality of this palette. It's so easy to use. The shimmers are really poppin'. The mattes are easy to use. It's simply the color scheme, the color story that I'm like, what am I doing with this? And it's funny because I enjoy purples, I enjoy neutrals, I enjoy greens, orange, that's a fun pop of color, but together I just don't find this to be a very cohesive palette, and that's what makes it hard for me. When I look at it, I just get a little bit stumped, which really bums me out because again, the quality in here I think is great, but for my makeup looks that I do, I have like a certain, you know, style. I have a certain routine with my eyeshadows, and to me there's just not enough mattes that I can use to blend shadows together. All of the mattes are pretty deep shades, or you know, the green or the orange, and I'm like, so that's my only problem with this palette is I don't find myself reaching for it very often because I'm just a little stumped. Next up, I have a collection of Colourpop palettes. So these are actually 5 palettes in here, which is why I'm saying I have more than 15, but I'm just kind of grouping them all together. These were the Love Struck palettes. These came out, was it very early 2020 or was it like their last launch? No, they're 2021, early 2021 or their last launch of 2020. I can't quite remember, but I put this on my list in January. So I know that it's been on there for a while. I'm trying to do good at keeping a running list of palettes that I've tried, so it's not so complicated when I go to make this video at the end of the year. But yeah, so these were the 5-pan palettes that came out, and I was so excited for these. These were ones that when I got them in PR, I immediately sat down at like 7 o'clock at night and started to film with them because that's how excited I was. It looks like I have another broken shade in here. Not everything made the move so gracefully. This was one. This is the Ballad palette. I liked this cool tone feel to it, but a lot of the palettes in this collection have that matte with the microfine glitter, which I just personally don't love, and it made it kind of hard for me to use the palettes. This was another really pretty one in Lyric. This was, you know, just more of your warm neutral brown palette, which I use so much, but then we also have a pressed glitter in here. Again, I don't use pressed glitters all that often, and the one in Amore, that one had the pressed glitter too, but a really pretty color scheme. And then the ones in Cherish and Crush, I kind of left feeling a little, once again, just so about the collection. I don't know what it is, but again, when I was making this list and I kept finding Colourpop towards the bottom, I was like, I'm kind of surprised because a lot of times I just love their palettes so much, but I think I just feel really overwhelmed. I think a move definitely had something to do with that, and also downsizing. I went from a 5-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom apartment, so definitely I was trying to downsize. And then again, with makeup preferences changing, I don't know. They're fine, like they're fine palettes, but they're just not favorites. Another one from Colourpop. This is the Limoncello palette. So this one is coming in at number 10. This is a fun palette. This is pretty. I think this one is a fun one. I like the neutrals in here. I like some of these pops of yellow. I really enjoy that blue. The first time I tried this palette, I put the blue all over my lid. The yellow is really punchy and pretty though too. Quality wise, I think it's really easy to work with. The mattes are very easy to use. Even that blue, super easy to blend out. The shimmers don't have like the most, like quite the most amount of pop to them, but they're still pretty. Is it going to be something that I reach for like all of the time? Probably not, but I don't know. I liked the Limoncello. It was a palette that I looked at it and it made me happy. Number 9, I have a palette from e.l.f. Cosmetics. Now I actually have 2 of these in the mint collection, but for some reason this is the only one that I can find. I found like everything else from e.l.f. All of the other bite-sized palettes, all of the bite-sized cheek duos. I could not find the other mint palette to save my life. So this one here is in Mint to Be. These are really cute palettes. So I do like the e.l.f. bite-sized palettes. The mint one, you know, I don't wear mint all that often, but I do like green shadows. I do like mint shadows. They're fun. So it's a good one. I would recommend the e.l.f. mini palettes kind of from here. This is where I start to really, well, from Limoncello, this is where I start to really enjoy these, and then I'll kind of, these are kind of in like my, so like my, what am I trying to say? My like, okay, if I was doing my makeup monthly, how I used to do it, these are like in that so-so middle kind of category. But yeah, it's a good one. It's fun to use. It's fun to switch it up and use a little mint sometimes. And these are like $4, which is great. I did include the e.l.f. and Jen Atkin collection, mostly because I really wanted to also review these products because I had not reviewed them yet. This was the very last product that I started trying before I left Iowa. Like the e.l.f. and Jen Atkin collection video was it the very last video that I filmed? My Will I Buy It might have been the very, very last one. But this was right down that pipeline. So I tried these and then they immediately got packed. I got here, unpacked them, and started to try them again. So I wanted to review these, even though these are technically eye and face palettes. So from the e.l.f. and Jen Atkin line, these are the Let's Elfing Do This palettes. So they have eyeshadows in here, and then also a bronzer, blush, and highlight. So these were sent to me, which is why I do have both of the shades in here. One is for lighter skin tones and one is for darker skin tones. I actually ended up really liking these. The matte shadows in all of these are really, really easy to work with, and I like to do a pretty simple neutral matte eye, maybe a little bit of wing going on, and that's what I was getting out of these. I was even working with the black in this palette, which I don't do all that often, and I was just finding them really easy to work with. And then you do also get the bonus of having the face shades, and that's definitely something that I've been gravitating towards for the last while here. So I've really enjoyed having that option. You know, you could also use these shades on your eyes too. Like a lot of times I use a bronzer in my crease, and I think that it works great. So these are nice, like kind of like multitasking palettes. I don't know if these are still available since it was a collab, so it might have been limited edition, but I liked these. I thought that these were good palettes. Next up, this is one of my newer eyeshadow palettes. I really wanted to put this in my last makeup monthly, but I just needed to try it a couple more times. And so I mentioned in that video that this ranking video was coming and that I would review it. So this is at number 7. This is from Kaleidos, and this is the Flower Punk palette. So kind of from here, this is where things I remade my list 3 times. I was constantly crossing things out and moving them. I had such a hard time from 7 to 1. I knew what number 1 was gonna be for a while. Maybe you do too. I knew what number 1 was gonna be, but I had such a hard time with everything in between. I was just like, I don't know, because these are all good palettes, all good quality, all I would recommend. So once again, I was really going off of how much I'm going to be reaching for these. And so the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette, really, really fun. A little bit more of like an eclectic color story for this one, but the greens, beautiful look. The pinks, I wore, what is this one? Peach Suju? Like all over the lid, and then I put some stained glass on top. It's such an easy look. So fast. I got so many compliments when I wore it in a video, and even when I went out that night and people are like, what's your eyeshadow? I was like, seriously, it's 2 shades. Like, it's so easy. And then even the greens in here, they make for a fun addition too. So once again, I really like it and I would definitely recommend it. But if I'm ranking against all of the other palettes, there's some other ones that are gonna maybe fit my current style and preference a little bit more, but this is such a fun one. I'm really glad to have this one in my collection. Kaleidos did send this over and I was like, ee! And also I thought this was really interesting. This just pops off. So your mirror pops off like that and then you can just magnetically put it back on. But I've been having a lot of fun with this palette. I will definitely be going into the green and pink looks again. Coming in at number 6, this is a mini from Natasha Denona. This is the Mini Love palette. I'm a big fan of the mini palettes from Natasha Denona. I'm actually a little surprised that I didn't love this one just a little bit more. I still really like it. Like I said, from Kaleidos, I like all of these. I would recommend them. I think that I still prefer the Mini Nude and the Mini Glam and the Mini Gold. But then I think I would maybe say the Mini Love. Maybe I should rank should I rank all of my Natasha palettes? I feel like I have a lot of palettes. Have I ever done that? I could do that if anyone would be interested in seeing them, because I have like her bigger palettes, I have the midi palettes, I have the mini palettes, I have a lot of Natasha palettes, and I really do enjoy them. So I like the color scheme in this one. I like that we have some mattes, we have some shimmers. I still think it's a really fun palette. I'm glad I grabbed it, the Mini Love. At number 5, this is from Makeup by Mario. This is the Rosy Glam Quad. This was the first eyeshadow palette that I was trying from Makeup by Mario, and I really do like it. I reviewed this in my last Makeup Monthly, and it was pretty low on my list, and I was saying in there, but I really like it. It's just compared to everything else I was reviewing, which there was a lot of complexion products in there, which those are definitely what has my attention right now. That's why I ranked this one a little bit lower, but compared to all of the palettes, all of the quality, and what I'm like reaching for the most, then that's why this one is ranked, you know, a little bit higher. So that's kind of just, you know, the way it goes with ranking videos. But this is a really pretty palette. I was very impressed by it. The shades are really smooth. This shimmer is just super, like such a beautiful, beautiful shade. I can wear any of these other shades and put that on top, and it just makes such a pretty look. I like the quad. Sometimes I like, you know, 6, 8, 9 shades, something like that. But if I just want a little something something and have it pop, this is the good one. At number 4, this is a palette I do quite enjoy. This is from Kaleidos in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. This is the Club Nebula palette. Oh yeah, this is just a fun one. So this one, I really enjoy this. I've reviewed it, I've talked about it a lot. I really do enjoy the palette. But once again, if I'm kind of ranking on what I'm reaching for more often and what I'm really gravitating for, the next handful are ones that you're like, you know, you'll be like, yeah, those are her preference. You know what I'm saying? But this is still such a beautiful palette. And if I want to do something a little bit out of my comfort zone, this is definitely the one that I'm going to be reaching for. I have a whole video on that, my favorite palettes outside of my comfort zone. And I do, of course, mention this one. I think Angie did such a beautiful job with this palette. Kaleidos has such a good formula. If you have not tried their eyeshadow palettes yet, I would highly, highly recommend that you try them out. I love some of these beautiful topper shades. Oh, it's just, the mattes are so easy. Even some of these darker ones, so simple to work with. Such a fun palette. I also love the packaging. Coming in at number 3, I think this might surprise some people, and I just had such a hard time with the end of this video, let me tell you. I was moving and switching and shaking and moving and switching and shaking, but I ended up really enjoying this palette, and I reached for it more than I thought that I was going to, and then even more than I thought that I was going to when I first reviewed it. So this is from Rare Beauty. It is their, I want to say it's called like their Discovery palette, but I don't think, it says True to Myself eyeshadow palette, but I want to say the word Discovery is in there. So this was one, when I first reviewed it, I think I was saying like, basically like, yeah, it's pretty decent. Like it's easy to use and, you know, all of the good things, but I find myself reaching for it, especially for some of these mattes. This one here on the end and this one here next to the glitter. I reach for those pretty often. If I'm using just like a single shadow, I find myself grabbing for this one as like a good complementary palette. Also, I really don't wear pressed glitters all that often, but this pressed glitter in here is incredibly easy to use. I don't get a lot of fallout. I can easily apply this with my finger and it glides right on, and it's not like chunky or feels like it's like scratching up my eye or anything like that. So there's been a couple times where I go from like day to night makeup and I'm like, okay, I really want to like, bam, as we go out in Vegas tonight, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna reach for that Rare Beauty and pop on that glitter. So it's just, it's kind of, it's been a little bit of a little interesting. Even the gold in here I think is really pretty. Right here, Samantha, the gold. I think the gold is really pretty also. This was one when I was making my list, I was almost a little bit surprised, but then I was like, no, I feel like this is a good place to put it because I grab for it so often, so I was impressed with it. At number 2, I have some palettes from Sigma Beauty. So I was able to try out their new On The Go palettes. These came out fairly recently. So they have, I want to say like 6 or 7 different palettes. These are the 2 that I'm showing because they're the 2 that I tried the most. Rosy is the one that I use the most often, but then there is also Ritzy. Ritzy was the first one that I tried because obviously this is the first one that I tried, and it's really, really beautiful. Sigma eyeshadows, I have them on my eyes today. I have the Warm Neutrals palette on my eyes. They're just so easy to work with, and I just love the looks of this palette. It is so me, especially right now. I love their larger palettes, the 14 pans, but these smaller ones too, if there's a color story that calls out to you, these are a really, really good option. But then also the Rosy palette, I definitely go into this one a lot. This is another one that I use as a complementary palette quite often when I'm using some of my single shadows, because just some of these tones, it just, you can definitely get from Warm Neutrals the look that I have on today. You can also achieve that with the Rosy palette. So if this is more your vibe, then once again, those larger palettes, this would be a good option. I use Primrose. I use Primrose a lot, and New Mod. New Mod I use quite a bit too, but the shimmers in here are beautiful, and I really like the mini palettes that have, you know, a little more of like a cohesive color story, and 9 pans are kind of like my sweet spot. Again, you know, 4, 5, sometimes that's like not quite enough. I don't like anything that's too big, but the 9 pans, that's where it's at. And then finally, at number 1, you might know what it's gonna be because I've talked about this palette a lot, and I was trying not to put the Sigma brand back to back, but they're really, it just had to be that way. Like, as much as I love the Rare Beauty, I was like, I really can't put them over the On The Go palettes because I do reach for them more, especially like as a whole, not just a complimentary palette. But at number 1, it's the Ambiance palette. The Sigma eyeshadows, I'm telling you, I think I just said this in my Get Ready With Me with the other Sigma palette. I was like, I have been on the Sigma eyeshadow train for such a long time, and they continually knock it out of the park with their palettes. So this one is the Ambiance palette. This is a pretty new release from Sigma Beauty, but it is beautiful, and it is my vibes right now. When I look at this, I just think of warm weather. I think of something really quick and easy. A lot of times I'm grabbing like 2 or 3 shades from this palette. I've used every single shade, even the gold, which I don't go for gold all that often. I've used the gold in here. It's beautiful. You can mix the mattes together. Some of these topper shades, like Marigold, is super pretty. Also Luster, I use Luster. Ooh, look at Luster. Luster is so pretty to just like kind of top over them. There's some really pretty bronzy shades. I mean, this is just like, it's my summer palette. I think I've said that probably in the video where I actually reviewed this one. I was like, this is just gonna be my go-to palette this summer, and it absolutely is. So when I was making the list, I knew what I was gonna put at the bottom, but I also knew that this one was going to be number 1. Like, I just knew. I just knew that's what it was gonna be. So that is the Sigma Ambiance palette. I am an affiliate with them. My code is Samantha if you're interested in anything. But other than that, that is ranking all of my eyeshadow palettes that I've tried so far in the year of 2021. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it fun. Let me know if there's any other videos like this that you want to see. I will have bronzers coming up. I know a lot of you have requested the bronzers recently. And then if you'd want to see a Natasha Denona one, let me know. I don't think I've done that here yet on YouTube, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to know what palettes have you been loving on it that you've been trying so far this year. I'll of course link everything down below, and as always, if you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope you also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll see you in my next video.